Many remnants of ancient earthquakes can be viewed in Anatolia. The Marmara Earthquake occurred on August 17, 1999, at 3 a.m. on the western end of the Anatolian plate, which is being pushed west about 1 inch a year. It had a magnitude of 7.6 and lasted 37 seconds. It hit an industrialized and densely populated urban area where oil refineries, automotive plants, and the Turkish Navy headquarters were found. It killed around 17,000 people, left up to 50,000 injured, and many hundreds of thousands homeless along a rupture of some 150 kilometers that extended as far west as the suburbs of Istanbul. Some sources even suggest that the number of deaths may have been around 45,000. That number was, however, refuted by the government for political reasons. 120,000 houses were damaged beyond repair. 2,000 other buildings collapsed. Another 4,000 buildings were heavily damaged, and 300,000 people were left homeless. A mosque at Adapazarı, near the earthquake epicenter, appeared to have survived. The main culprit was the dismal performance of the reinforced concrete frames of apartment buildings everywhere in the area. The heavy impact of the earthquake was also attributed to having occurred in an alluvial plain where seismic movements produce particularly great damage. Some remnants confirm that in an earthquake, the upper floors of buildings are actually safer than the lower ones. But if the upper floors may have suffered less, there were still practically no means of escape. A 2.5 meters high tsunami in the Sea of Marmara also killed another 155 people. The earthquake sparked a disastrous fire at a petroleum refinery, and breakage of water pipelines made it impossible to extinguish the fire. However, structures designed with modern engineering, such as transportation systems and most industrial facilities, suffered relatively little damage. A massive international response was mounted through NGOs and the Red Crescent to assist in digging for survivors. Teams from 18 countries, including Greece and Israel, helped in the search and rescue effort. The International Red Cross and Red Crescent pledged some $6 million, and the UK gave another £50,000 to help. Blankets, medical supplies, and toys for the kids were flown in. India assisted by providing 32,000 tents. The neighboring municipality of Bursa offered garbage cans. Messages of condolence and calls for assistance were posted everywhere. Other messages were scribbled here and there. They let know where some survivors could now be reached. Thousands of survivors who had no other option lived for a long time in tent villages. A bust of Kemal Atatürk was placed among the tents. President Bill Clinton and Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif later visited the area and met with some of the survivors. A month after the earthquake, local inhabitants were still trying to retrieve whatever they could from the remains of their houses, hoping to get to them before their houses were definitively razed. Elderly survivors may have simply felt glad they were still alive. But what future could young survivors expect? Istiqbal means the future in Turkish. There were more than 2,000 earthquakes, though weak ones, in the Marmara region between 2005 and 2011. And geologists warned there could soon be another major one to deal with in the same region. A full generation after the disaster, we went to have a look at how Adapazarı looked. We crossed from Europe to Asia through a tunnel recently built under the Bosphorus, claimed to be capable to resist tremors of a 9 magnitude on the Richter scale. On our way along the North Anatolian Fault, we could not but notice recently built high rises. Not one, but many. Adapazarı, capital of the Sakarya province, about 100 miles east of Istanbul, is reached through a relatively more rural environment. Our visit preceded that of President Erdogan by just a few days. Soon after the earthquake, new precincts had been built in the immediate suburbs of the city. Their buildings look very much like those of some Asian suburbs of Istanbul. They even comprise new mosques. Meanwhile, reconstruction proceeded in the very downtown of the city. As a result, the quarters that had seemed irrecuperable 20 years ago have now developed into business districts richer than they were before the earthquake. Here are a few views of how the city looks today. Luxury apartments are being built. New businesses are celebrated as they open. High quality food is available. And if you want to go hunting, you can buy imported or locally made rifles and guns. You can enjoy pubs with live music, but also find orthopedic treatment centers. There is an English home, whatever that implies, and a California Polo Club, whatever that is. The people of Adapazarı seem to have recovered their home, sweet home. And a botanical garden in the very center of the town puts an ultimate touch to pleasant life.